Hi, I'm Mystique, and I'm a mutant part of the X-Men with the ability to
shapeshift. As a mutant, I can replicate any human's weight, clothing, height,
voice, retina, and fingertips. Also, I have lightning-fast reflexes and the ability to heal quicker than the average human.
This is quite the scientific feat, and through this video we will be exploring the potential ways of how Mystique's power functions and how it came to be.
Because Mystique is a mutant, it can be assumed that the ways her powers came about was by genetic mutation. This means that her DNA has sequences that differ from what is found in humans. Gene mutations are the explanation of many phenomena, like color blindness, sickle cell anemia, and cystic fibrosis. When it comes to the X-Men, however, these gene mutations take a different form. These genes are not simply mutated in a single gene, as these phenomena are, they completely change the way the mutant interacts with the world, requiring mutations in many different genes in order to actualize a finished result that is a mutant with supernatural powers. To decipher Mystique's abilities' scientific foundation, we started by looking at other animals that exhibit similar behavior. When one looks to other animals that exhibit similar color-changing behavior as Mystique, octopuses and other cephalopods stand out. Over time, octopuses have developed the ability to control when they change color, adapting to match the color of their environment in order to camouflage, and sometimes to scare away predators. Octopuses have a myriad of reasons to shapeshift, all of which focus on the octopus's innate understanding of the world around them, and ability to translate that into a color variation exhibited on them. A way to connect this use to Mystique would be through the possibility that Mystique's genes mutated the same way octopuses have over time. The stem cells of cephalopods have evolved to also become a type of cell humans don't have, chromatophores, which are cells that hold pigment. These chromatophore cells connect to nerve cells which control when the octopus wants to change color, and to what variation. Inside of the chromatophore cell is a cytoelastic sacculus, which holds pigment of various colors. When the muscles which surround the chromatophore cell tighten, they deliberately make the sac larger, allowing for more of the pigment to be visible, and conversely, when the muscles relax, the sac shrinks down, resulting in less visible pigment. In addition to this ability, the chromatophore cell is attached to a singular nerve, the nervous system controlling the contractions of these muscles surrounding the chromatophore cells. Perhaps, as Mystique's genes mutated, they allowed for the development of chromatophores as cephalopods' genes have mutated to do so as well. For the typical human, the hair follicle stem cells are inactive in the telogen phase of the hair's growth cycle, except for they are activated during the hair's growth cycle anagen phase. This variance in activity is controlled by multiple factors, one of which being the production of lactate. Mystique's powers may lay in her innate ability to manipulate her stem cells in order to grow hair rapidly when transforming. Manipulating stem cells helps to increase hair growth rapidly, which aids Mystique in changing her hair's length. The way this works is by promoting higher levels of lactate production in the stem cells. Recent studies have indicated that by activating the pathway of cellular signaling, JAK-STAT, leads to an increased production of lactate, increasing hair cell activation, which leads to quicker hair growth. Lactate production heavily influences hair follicle stem cell activation. In studies on mice, inhibition of lactate production prevented hair follicle stem cell activation, and inversely, when lactate production was increased, the researchers found that it accelerated hair follicle stem cell activation, which increased the hair cycle. If Mystique is able to manipulate the growth of her hair, a possible explanation could be a gene mutation which grants her the ability to produce large amounts of lactate, stimulating her hair follicle stem cell activation and having a pseudo hair cycle whenever she transforms.
At the end of the first X-Men movie, Mystique is stabbed in the abdomen by Wolverine. However, Mystique recovers quickly, and soon there is no trace of a wound. Typically, treatment for a stabbing to the abdomen goes as follows. First, the wound must be stabilized and bleeding must be reduced. Then, the affected area is irrigated or rinsed with a sterile solution, before cleaning out bacteria and debris. In Mystique's case, emergency surgery would be necessary in order to repair damaged organs and tissues, and her injury would take a long amount of time to heal due to the amount of organs that were probably damaged. Theoretically, Mystique could heal quickly, but at a cost. She would need to accelerate the 6 steps of the wound healing process, which are rapid homeostasis, or stopping bleeding through vasoconstriction, inflammation, which informs your body of the injury, proliferation and migration, or the coordinated movement of cells in a specific order to the affected area, and further constriction of blood vessels. angiogenesis, the reconstruction of blood vessels, reepithelialization, the replacement of damaged skin, and synthesis, which occurs simultaneously to the other steps and is the formation of blood clots in order to stop further bleeding. In order to speed up these steps, Mystique would need greater control over proto-oncogenes and tumor suppressor genes at the cellular level. These two genes control the rate of cell division, with the proto-oncogenes acting like a gas pedal and the tumor suppressor genes acting like a brake pedal. Mystique could then quickly produce the correct number of cells in order to fulfill all 6 steps of the wound healing process quickly. However, Mystique would need to support the rapid healing with an insane metabolism, thus requiring her to consume large amounts of food and water in order to support mass cell production. Additionally, debris and other substances could get trapped inside of her if wounds are not properly cleaned and explored in time, leading to further complications.
Mystique consistently shows us, with her awe-inspiring transformations, how her voice can test the boundaries of physics. When changing costumes, she manipulates her voice as well as her appearance to disguise herself from her enemies.
They say you can imitate anybody, even their voice. Even their voice.
We as humans can do this to a lesser degree as well, changing the pitch of our voice from low to high or high to low. The way this is accomplished is through our manipulation of vocal folds, commonly called vocal cords. When our vocal folds vibrate, they let out small gusts of air that create sound waves. The fundamental frequency of these vibrations is 140 Hz, and the human voice varies from 85 to 180 Hz. The lower frequency equates to a lower pitch, and the wavelength of the sound is increased for longitudinal waves. Another aspect of Mystique's voice changing is resonance. One definition says, resonance describes a phenomena of amplification that occurs when frequency of a periodically applied force is in harmonic proportion to a natural frequency of the system on which it acts. Through changing her frequency through vocal cords, the vocal resonators of Mystique amplify her sound. She can resonate with the harmonic frequency of a certain location to amplify her voice. In addition, the vocal tract has articulators such as the tongue and jaw, which help her do this. We really see an interaction between biology and physics when we look at the formation and usability of vocal cords, and the specific construction of the vocal tract with the movement of the larynx and trachea. For voice modulation, we manipulate the air pressure, tension, position of the folds to just achieve the right frequency of sound. Light waves are also involved in the manipulation of Mystique's skin color. We have observed that she uses 2 layers of skin to transform into different colors. However, she also changes the color of her skin while this process goes on. From biology, we see the theory that Mystique could have chromatophores, the pigmented cells that reflect light to generate skin and eye color in certain animals. They filter and reflect electromagnetic waves in the visible light spectrum, which ranges from 400 to 700 nanometers, where 400 nanometers is what we perceive as purple and 700 is what we perceive as red. When light hits the chromatophores, the cell absorbs from the light waves and reflects some of the light waves. The wavelength of the reflective light shows up as the color of Mystique's skin. And these chromatophores are possibly connected to her nervous system so that she does this process at will. Chromatophores also contain pigments selectively absorb parts of the visible light spectrum and permits only certain wavelengths to reach the eye of the observer. Indeed, we see this in Mystique's ability to turn her unique skin from blue to tan and many other colors while shapeshifting.
Computer graphics are heavily involved in portraying Mystique's shifting abilities. Despite popular assumptions, the figure of Mystique is not created through motion captures. It was rather the result of heavy cosmetics and artificial hair. The texture of her skin with shifting was developed using the feather groom effect. Prior to the transformation, 2 figures, one portraying the human figure, the other wearing heavy body paint to resemble Mystique's true form, record 2 separate clips as they perform the same actions and hold the same posture. When the transformation begins, the scales, represented by 2D polygons, begin to rotate around a fixed center. Each of her scales was a polygon mapped individually in order to randomize the axis across which the scales were rotating. The 2 sides of each polygon are of different colors, so when they rotate, they create a gradient effect. Shaders are then applied simultaneously to ensure that the rotation of the polygons look realistic. When applying the model to the two aforementioned figures, one of the two colors on the polygons should be the chroma key for one figure, while the other color should be for the other figure. In certain cases, displacement factors are added to the two figures to emphasize the morphing waves during the transformation. Frank Witz, a leader in the development project, said that the ramps controlled all the attributes, including morph progress, skin shaders, scales, and all the works. By adjusting the ramp timings, we could easily choreograph which part of her body transformed and when.